All right. What's going on, party people? This your man Griff. All right, third, fourth, fifth time I'm trying to get this video recording. I keep notifications, all kinds of stuff, and all that. So here's the deal. I'm gonna try to make this very succinct. I've been pretty clear in my opinion concerning shadowing, and thank you for liking, sharing, and commenting on the video. I really want to hear your comments. I've been reading the comments. There've been some great ones. There've been some offline comments, not off script, like bad, but just people contacting me outside of the platform about stuff, asking me questions and stuff. And I think what it is that people just aren't hearing me, and I think I've been clear about it. I've tried to lay out the scenario. What I'm talking about when I say shadowing is not taking some random person that you just find off the street to just shadow. You're not taking your best friend and your homeboys or your homegirls with you there. The people who you having a class reunion and then you say, hey, come over to me. Hey, y'all, come watch me do a signing. We're not talking about that. We're talking about somebody who could be doing a signing right now if you hadn't have been selected. You and Earl. And the only reason why Earl isn't doing it is because you got selected. If you could, matter of fact, you could say, you know what, something came up. I have a family emergency. Can you refer it? Can you give the order to Earl? They look at Earl's credentials. He has the credentials, and they say yes. The problem is when Earl gets in there to do the closing, he's freaking out because he got all of this information that he done sat there and learned and listened to over the last 4 or 5 months, and it's overwhelming. And then the documents that he has don't match none of the scripts that he has, none of the documents that he's seen in his mock signings. So it's stressful. And years ago, I haven't done had anybody um shadow me in years, at least 3 years. It's been at least 3 years because people was having a fit and making a big issue out of it, not understanding that it's not illegal. People keep saying, "Oh no, it's forbidden by your state laws." Where? It's forbidden by the where? I understand that some of the signing companies or well, mainly the title companies are like, "Hey, we don't want that because they're concerned about confidentiality." My thing would be this: if you're really concerned about confidentiality, get in them private Facebook groups. They got all kinds of people's personal information in there. So I don't do that anymore, but I think it's very helpful because here it is 5 years later that I've been in this business and people still struggling with these closings because they say I'm a visual learner and I have no visual as to how to do the closing, so I'm stuck on it. And I'm like, everybody else in this industry, from the loan officer, title company, settlement, escrow, all the way down to just before us, when they have new people, they train them and they work with them and they give them OJT, on the job training. They allow them to shadow, they allow them to see so they can figure out how it's done and they learn that way. The notaries, we're all on our own. We're all on our own. And it's crazy because we're on our own, but yet we're trying to do everything the same. We're on our own, but we want to act the same way. We want to market the same way. We want to make the same money, but we're not all on the same page up here and in here in our confidence. So I'm trying to figure out how do we get there? We keep coming up with all these, well, you can't do it, confidentiality. The shadow person is sitting off to the side. They don't get to see the documents. They don't need to see the documents. They just there to observe. The person you bring in as a witness, they see the documents. They're sitting at the table. So they can actually say, I saw them sign it. You even have to sometimes maybe explain to them, yeah, they're signing this document because of this, that, and the other. They're selling the property, this, that, and the other. And that's one of the reasons why some people don't like the witnesses, especially for those states that provide you have to do that because they're like, I don't want these strangers knowing my business. So I always try to get the signers to get their own witnesses that they feel comfortable with. But if they're new to the area, they're like, I don't know nobody and I don't trust anybody. And then they're like, well, can you get somebody? Which they're hoping that I can get somebody that's trustworthy. So I don't understand that because the only difference between that Earl sitting over there and here is that this document don't need a witness. I could take that same person and bring them here next to me as a witness, but if there's no witness requirement, then that person can't even be involved. They can't even sit around. They can't. Nope, it's illegal. It's wrong. And I'm like, How do they get to the point of confidence with this here? So I need y'all's help to help me to understand, because I'm trying to figure this out. So that's why I stopped doing it. I love helping people, and I think it's very helpful. And the people who did go with me, they learned a lot. One of the things that they learned was how to navigate a person's home. Because sometimes they went into the homes with me, and their homes was like, and they learned, wow, okay, this is what okay. So this is okay. So there's no table, there's no dining room table. We're just standing at the kitchen counter. Yeah. And then they get to see how you handle it by standing at the kitchen counter and getting the signing done. Because in their mind, they're thinking we're going to sit at a dining room table. But you get there and it's a bachelor pad. And all they got is gaming chairs and no tables whatsoever. And the only flat surfaces you have is the table that's sitting there with beer on it and the countertop tables. That's it. Now the countertops over there by the stove and all of that. That's the only flat surfaces. So that kind of stuff scares and shocks people when you go in there. So you need to be able to see and learn how to deal with those situations. Everybody else is learning that in this industry, but not the notary. No, you just take my training. You just sit there for 5 hours a week or 10 hours a day and just look at all this training and you'll be ready to go. And then you get in there and you see, wow, this situation is way different. How do I deal with dogs? How do I deal with the kids? How do I handle, well, the person is signing, but they keep running off because they're also working their job, their daytime job, and they got to stay connected to the Zoom meeting and then come back and sign and then go back to the Zoom and then go fix dinner. I mean, you all of that. And none of that can be taught in a classroom. But everybody else gets an opportunity to see every kind of scenario, to see how other people in their company handle it. And we just gotta wing it sometimes as notaries. And then when we wing it and mess it up and get our wing broke, we didn't get blacklisted. We didn't get restricted duty. We didn't get looked at side eye. I don't know if that person is somebody we can rely on and trust. Well, you're right, because they had no visual. And everybody, again, keeps saying, I'm a visual learner, but you don't get the visuals when it comes to doing the closing. And that's the part that's missing. So the question now becomes, how do we fix it? If you can't shadow, you can't have somebody shadow you so you can help them out, then how do we fix it? How do we get that person? Because sometimes the mock signings ain't working. The mock signings is nice and it gives you a feel for it. But when you are actually doing one with somebody that's not your spouse, that's not your kids, that's not your best friend, that's a whole different story. And yes, I know not everybody can shadow because not everybody needs that. But if somebody needs it and can benefit from it, help me to understand where that's a problem. Help me understand where it's in state law that it's forbidden and it's illegal to do. I understand the unprofessional side of it that the NNA talks about. Yes, it's unprofessional to bring some random person in there that has nothing to do with even our industry. I get that. But then you're putting people's information up in those Facebook groups. You're not dealing with that. So help me understand, y'all. I mean, there's so much more I could say about this, but I did videos on it. Go look at my last video, my Freedom Friday, at the 50-minute mark. I started talking about it. I'm just saying, help me to understand. And y'all help me understand, what is a ride along? Because somebody contacted me about, am I talking about ride alongs? I don't know what that is. All I know is ride along is a movie that Kevin Hart and Ice Cube was in. If that's not what they're talking about, then please help me to understand, what do you mean by that? But I'm going to just cut it here because I can keep going on and on. Y'all, party people, y'all, give me your thoughts and comments, okay? I really want to know, because I think this is important for us, okay? Because if we're going to move forward in this, we really got to get better at it, because I don't think there's any training out there that's adequate enough to get us prepared the way we need to be, all right? Talk to y'all later. Peace.